just a video to show how I'm removing and replacing the kitchen outdoor light. The first thing I did, I had to remove a couple of these screws that were just behind a lug on each end. Take the screws out, cut around the silicon at the top, just this black silicon that runs around the edge, just cut around them, and then these two ends pop off, which exposed this end and this end, where I was able to get these two plastic paint scrapers. Once I started to get them in there, I then got my screwdriver and then started pushing along behind the light, and then eventually now you'll see it's just actually popped off and I have access to the cables. So I'm going to get a Stanley knife and tidy up around here, get the silicon off, and then have a look at the wiring. I'll see how I go. I didn't think to take a video while the light was off and I had the cables exposed, but there's just a 2-strand lead that comes out, positive and negative. Very simple, just to solder onto this new light. Put a dab of silicon on the old holes. The old screws didn't quite line up, they're a lot narrower. This light's probably 1 inch wider at each end. But yeah, pretty straightforward. I've turned the outside lights on. This one by default is off, but it does have a memory now. So if I turn that light on, go inside, turn both off, and then turn them back on, this will come back on as white. So the same if I had it as orange. When you turn it on, it'll remember what it last had. Or even off, it will remember if this one was off. So I'll give this a whirl, see how it goes, see if the orange light does deter those bugs or not attract those bugs as well as the white light, and then I'll possibly consider replacing that one too, because it wasn't too hard of a job, especially now that I know what I'm doing, getting the old ones off. Just to add something that I forgot to mention earlier, a few people in the comments when I asked the group how to remove these lights suggested using a braided fishing line. I didn't have any handy, but I was able to borrow this spool. I'll show a photo now from someone, and it was nowhere near strong enough. Every time I kept putting it through and using a saw-like motion to try and cut through that silicon, it would snap almost immediately. So yeah, plan B was that screwdriver and the paint scraper, which I showed earlier. So I've just gone back outside and tested the light. You can see mosquitoes buzzing around the white light and only about one around the orange light. Good result.